Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Chief. My name is Mpumklani. Got a full house today with Wahid, Cyrus, Dean, and AB. And everyone's wearing their kits today from Classic Shirt ZA. I'm wearing the Arsenal O2 kit from the last season at Highbury, the maroon one in the season that we made to the Champions League final. Then we ended up losing to Barcelona. Dean, you're wearing a kit I don't recognize, or I don't think I like, but it looks good on you.
I'm wearing last week's kit of the week, 94-95 Spurs home, classic Holston. This shirt gets views everywhere I go for good or bad reasons. Doesn't matter. It's a great kit.
What did you win in that kit?
Doesn't matter. Let's move on. Cyrus, what's your kit?
A North London derby, maybe. This is the Drogba first season at Chelsea.
That kit has more awards than Spurs. So,
look, I will say that Holston kit really was. It brought up a lot of memories. Didn't Stefan Everson play in that kit? Anyway, back when I was not a closet Spurs fan, but I liked some of their players. But yeah, this Drogba kit. It's still the Drogba 15, so it's like way back when we first got him. And special kit because Drogba is an absolute animal, and I love that guy.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me twice.
That's why we're sitting on opposite ends of the screen, you see, because if I sat next to you, I'd probably beat you. And that might just be in a race of words.
And Wahid, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing the 1999 United in 99 and 2000 had a specific Champions League home kit, and we ended up in the season we had a specific Champions League kit. We ended up winning the Champions League with the final kick of the ball. I've got Ole printed on the back of this.
Show everybody.
Slash 20 with the last kick of the ball in the new camp. We won the Champions League. So
show everyone.
Special kit for me. I just remember getting into trouble with my mom because my dad had me out late on a school night watching the game with him.
And AB, do you have the classic? AB, do you have the classic Deloitte?
He's wearing the classic Deloitte. That's it.
The classic Deloitte.
Yeah.
With number one.
Guys, on Wednesdays we wear pink. So I have the 1990 to 1992, I think, away kit. We wore that for 2 seasons. The one that the current away kit is based off on. So it's that blue and white.
Is that the season Deloitte did the books for?
Was that the one they cooked or not the one they did?
No.
I mean, at least something was cooking, guys, because United won. So.
Okay, guys, remember, everyone, you can go to Classic Shirts ZA, .co.za or at Classic Shirts ZA to get one of these shirts or even other shirts. We've got a massive wider range of kit that is available there. Remember, when you do go there, use the discount code CHEAPSEATS50. Just lets them know that we sent you. So, yeah, gents, it's been an interesting weekend of football, and Spurs fans are really happy. And we're going to go to you, Dean, right now, but I want to ask Cyrus. Last night, we watched Chelsea do what seemingly could be the impossible, and then a certain Karim Benzema came through. How are you feeling today?
I'm great, actually. It's one of those where, and I think United have had many of these moral victories over the years to substitute, a lot of the not so great losses. It was one of the, you never want to celebrate a loss, but that was one of the better performances I've seen under pressure from Chelsea in a very long time, considering how the first leg had gone and all of the nonsense that was spoken about Mendy and that entire team. For them to show the kind of character that they did, to not just level the tie, but then actually go ahead at one point. And even somebody like Timo Werner, who much maligned, I must say, I can't wait for to see the back of him. He's kind of the German Jesper Gronkia, but as much as Jesper Gronkia did, he scored an important goal at an important time, but the rest of the guys just couldn't hold on. And it was just a great tie of football. So I didn't really feel cheated in any way. I see there's some Chelsea fans out there trying to call this one of those disgrace games, but it really wasn't. I think Chelsea showed that they can pretty much rumble with any of the big boys. They wanted to Bamba, and I think this is one of the key things where this is why supporters of the club love the club, is that through all of the turmoil, through all of the other stuff that could be happening off the pitch, when the guys put their heads down and they really focus on what needs to be done, they go for it. And Wahid's favorite player, Mason Mount, going to show again the boy can play.
Okay. He doesn't play for England, though. That's the only issue that we have there. Today's show is centered around Manchester, teams who have to kind of figure out now where their realistic expectations are. The two teams are Arsenal and Manchester United. But let's start with Manchester United because they lost a game I don't think they could lose against Everton. Wahid, how does it feel to lose to Super Frank?
Well, a lot of people talked about how good Frank Lampard was, and I just want to say that it's like it's not a big deal to beat Man United at the moment. We're a really easy side to beat. I know Dean doesn't understand that, having caught 2 from us this season.
A clock is wrong twice as well a day. So
we're not hard to beat, and it's not a mark of a good football side to be able to beat Man United. And I said this the other day, is that even the games we've won this season, I can only remember maybe 5 games where we've actually been better than the opposition, like through 90 minutes. Even the games we're winning, we're not that good. We winning based on other teams making mistakes and being worse than us. And I dubbed the game between Man United and Everton as a game of 2 really bad football sides to see who's worse. And United came out trumps. Like, we played absolutely horrifically. Like, we were absolutely shocking in every single department. I sat there and I was numb. I honestly, I had no emotion by the end of the game because it was just that bad. The players just don't seem to care, and I think that one of the biggest hurdles for Man United is going to need to motivate these players, or if they're unable to get these players motivated, then they need to be shipped out. Realistically, the season's done. I personally hope we end 7th. I don't want to play in that Europa Conference League. But
7th is Conference League.
7th is Conference League, so you need to go 8.
You need to go 8.
Yes, you need to go 8.
5th is Europa League, 6th is Conference League.
No, Spurs were 7th last season and we were Conference League. So unless they've changed it since last season, fine.
I checked like 5 minutes before the show, and it said that 7th is Conference League.
Isn't 5th and 6th? Isn't 5th Europa League, 6th you have to qualify Europa League, and then 7th Conference?
I don't know. Well, what I read just before the show said that.
Does it really matter?
Yes, so it is 5th Europa League, 6th Conference League, and 7 gets nothing.
Yeah,
okay. So
I'm actually hoping we get 7th, but I've read that the instruction to Ralph from Florida has been that he has to get 7th at a minimum because the club's finances won't be that great without
6 or 7.
It's additional earning.
Yeah,
sixth. So you have to be in a European competition, basically.
Okay. AB, what are your expectations for this season?
Wow. So like, we're playing Norwich, so I'd like us to get a point from there. I think it'll be a 0.1. We're playing Liverpool. Yeah, so we're playing Liverpool. I'd like us not to lose by 5 or more. We're playing Arsenal, so I would like us also to not lose by 3 or more. And then we're playing Chelsea, so also another 3 or more. That's my expectations. Like, guys, the season's done. We're finished. Ralph came in to fix the club, and yeah, there we go.
So, what do you leave the new manager? What does the new manager get next year? How does the new manager rebuild in a side that's not even playing in European football?
The new manager's coming
going to be quite similar to the side Klopp inherited. 2014 Klopp side is going to be very similar to what Erik Ten Hag is going to inherit.
No, but like, come guys, this squad is better than that team. This team literally they're still runners-up of the Premier League. They're the same guys. In fact, they're better players. This Erik Ten Hag needs to wave a magic wand and like sit one-on-one with these players, hug them, touch them, do whatever the hell he needs to do to like get them on board. Like not like that. I mean, just like
I think you need to put a disclaimer that cheap seats
not like
don't.
that.
Not
like that. Just
like
give them a hug or something. These guys are broken. Like,
they don't need a hug. They need a firecracker up there. That's what these teams.
I don't know.
Actually, let's go to Dean. Dean, what do you think of this team? Where do you think they can finish? And what can they realistically aim for?
So I was having a look at a couple Premier League like predictions where you put in what you reckon the score will be per match and kind of predict the end of the table. And realistically, I put United at 8th, based on my 8th at the end of the season.
Man. Wolves are
Which,
close. Wolves are very
and
close.
and one of the big reasons is Wolves under Bruno Lage are really pushing. They're thereabouts, but they've got a lot more to play for to try and push for a European spot because they've come through kind of Nuno and they want to get that, and they're kind of pushing for it more. Where United would see it as a bit of a concession to get Conference League, for example. So the difference in mental state for each of those is very different. So I think realistically, United 8th. Maybe if they push, get a lucky draw here, they're 7th. But I think the bigger thing, which we'll touch on, is having the choice between Ten Hag or Pochettino. They made the wrong choice with Ten Hag, in my opinion, based on what they.
But doesn't that leave Poch available for you because Conte's leaving
so
too?
As a Spurs supporter, I love that they got Ten Hag because it means Poch is free. If I was a United supporter, I would be my man. If I was a United supporter, would have been Poch. Besides my connections to him, I think.
Okay,
but we'll touch on that.
Yeah, we'll get there. Cyrus, what do you make of this of Manchester United's plight, and where do you think are they a little bit too pessimistic?
This is tomfoolery. Come on, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, this is United. I mean, and I know you guys are the fans. You've got your feelings about this club and what have you. There is no ways that anybody's going to be, happy to accept 8th or 7th even. And I think that there's a realistic possibility that they overtake West Ham on the standings and finish potentially 6th. The thing is that when you look at these games, like the Liverpool game in particular, it isn't one that United fans will expect to win. But for heaven's sakes, you got to beat Norwich at Old Trafford. And somebody's got to be like, look, this cannot be. We cannot be looking at Norwich and saying, oh, that's a tricky tie. But like, no, we've got to stuff these guys. And then the other thing is that you're going to Liverpool. And what happened to the pride? What happened to the United pride of saying, we don't care whether or not we win the league, as long as we can stick one to Liverpool and make it hurt.
Yes, and you stop them from winning the league.
And that's the thing. I mean, I would expect that United to go into that game and think, fine, the Roy Keane mentality. I don't care if I win the ball, I'm going to get the man. Regardless of what the result is, take Salah out, take Mane out. They've got to feel that. And this is
Have you seen these players?
Look, I've seen some of them, but I will say this. There will be one or two of these guys who will have that mentality, who will say, you know what, we're the laughing stock, yes, but we don't have to be. And we can actually turn everything on its head by saying, at least we gave Liverpool a heck of a beating on the day. Even if it is a 1-0 or a 2-0 or even a 1-1. As long as it stops Liverpool from running away with it. And I think that mentality side of things really is what is important. Now, this going back to what you were saying is really where it's critical, because it feels like not just the fans, but the players have checked out. That they're like, okay, next season will be better than this season. But all Ralph and everybody else has to say is, let's play every single one of these last games and say, show me the Man United you want to be next season. I might not be the coach, and you will have to be auditioning for your place in this team. There are some of you who we know won't be here, probably Paul Pogba. So show me what you've got. And somebody like Bruno Fernandes, he does have that kind of that assholery in him. He's a proper bastard, he is. And so I can actually see him going for it. I can see him going for it. But the rest of them have got to get up to that standard. And somebody like Elanga, these youngsters, yeah, they can slink off if they've had a bad display. But the other thing is, it's the biggest stage to go and show what you're made of. So I think United could finish 6th. I don't see this as being completely over and done with. Yeah,
no, that is very true. And Cyrus, your rant works perfectly with what I want to say regarding this football club. You kind of
is the show long enough, Paul? Do we have a long enough show to talk about it?
I'll try to keep this, because actually this morning I was listening to Ian Wright on the Arsenalcast podcast, and he was swearing. So I won't swear. I won't be long. But Arsenal have given away a golden opportunity. Spurs are now 3 points ahead. We have the game in hand, which is against Chelsea midweek. So that's going to be something else. But anyway, my thing with this team is that, and this is where I'm at, right? I think this team should not end below 6. I don't think this team has the goals in it to finish 4th. Because the thing for me is when it's squeaky bum time at the back end of the season and you're fighting for these things, you need a striker who can convert half chances. If Wahid could turn around and show me the name on the back, that's the guy I want. That's the guy I want. I want Solskjaer type of guy who can convert half chances.
No.
Because,
look,
wait, Cyrus, wait.
I can't let it happen. Solskjaer was diabolical when you left him on the pitch too long. But when he was there for those key moments, yes.
But Cyrus,
here we go. Here we go.
I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get a response from you.
Look, okay. Let's not
We're not starting a Solskjaer attack.
We're not starting a Solskjaer attack.
I'm just kidding, but
we just wanted to wake you up.
Rein it back in.
We just wanted to wake you up. But my situation with the team is that there are no goals, and they let the guy who scores the goals go to Barcelona. So then the question is, yes, but then the question is, you've got Laka, who is playing okay-ish. You've got Eddie Nketiah, who every time he's come on, just looks like a shadow of himself. And somebody needs to grab both of them, or whoever the strikers are, and say, whoever wants to, this is your moment to be the number 9 at Arsenal starting next season if you can get us through this period. But they're not going to, because quite frankly, what I saw from Laka the past 2 games and also Nketiah, it's not going to work. The other problem that I have is, why are we playing Granit Xhaka at left back? I don't understand. Yes, we've got injuries, but didn't Mikel realize that there's 2 problems with that, right? He's not a left back, so he's going to get himself into trouble, and he did against Brighton.
He's not a football player. That's the first problem. He's a boxer.
No, he plays well for Switzerland. We just haven't seen Switzerland, Xhaka and Ren.
Yeah.
And then the other side is that Odegaard's playing too deep. So then, I don't get it. I'd rather, and I hate this, and I know why is also gonna jump on this. I'd rather see Saka at left back. I would rather do that and have you put Nicolas Pepe on the right. But somehow, Nicolas Pepe, £72 million signing, is not even being featured on the field. I don't know what happens with Mikel Arteta. Feels like if you have one bad game, you don't come back. Poor Nuno Tavares got skinned by Crystal Palace, but then all of a sudden, Mikel was afraid to put him on against Danny Welbeck. For me, if we finish below 6, fire Mikel. I still have a problem with Mikel Arteta, but we cannot finish below 6 because my issue with this team is that you gave goals away. So the fact that we could have finished 4th, if Aubameyang was there and somebody brought them into the room, now all of a sudden we're going to be struggling. Because Dean, and I'm going to go to you, you're not scared anymore. You're not scared of us anymore.
I'm not. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about this is, if we go back 3 weeks ago, I was sitting here saying 4th place is Arsenal's to lose, and they've lost it. In 2 weeks, we've seen them lose 3-0 to Palace, and they lost 2-1 to Brighton with a late goal. So it was looking like more of a 2-0 win for Brighton. I know we talk about, and yes, they've had injuries. So you look at Partey that's missing in that midfield, fine, it's a fairly big hole, and he was playing really well. And then Tierney in that left back is a big miss. I think he's really good and could probably walk into most teams in the Premier League. So fine, very big misses. And talking to what you're saying, and Paul, you're saying there's no person that wants to score goals or can score goals, but there's no one in that team that's standing up anywhere on the pitch when they need to. There's no one that's grabbing that game by the scruff of the neck and saying, you know what, guys, we need to pull ourselves out of this hole. No one in midfield, no one in defense. Ramsdale's not talking. Ben White doesn't know he's fixing his hair. You know, there's no one that's actually looking like they want to play on that pitch. And that's what it's obvious. Arsenal have a very young squad. It's one of the youngest, if not the youngest in the Premier League, which I then understand there's a lack of experience and, you know, a bit of ability to pull yourself out of a hole when you're in one. But I think then you look directly at Arteta and you say, well, geez, bro, you were Pep's cone boy. You should be able to pull someone. And again, he can't do it. So it's a very much a situation of, for me, Arsenal are a form team. When things are going well and, you know, you're riding that good wave, it looks like they're unbeatable. Martinelli looks like prime Ronaldo. ESR and Saka are running the show. Everyone's going ballistic. It takes one loss or one injury or 2 injuries in that team, and all of a sudden we're now going, these Oaks will be lucky to finish 6th. And that for me is very scary. If I was an Arsenal fan, I love it as a Spurs fan. I absolutely cry for joy every time I see this.
So what we're seeing now at Arsenal, and I think I've mentioned it before, is indicative of what we've seen of rookie bosses in the Premier League before. When we look at Ole, when we look at Arteta, and when we look at Lampard, all have had similar issues insofar as they were able to get their teams playing well here and there. But the biggest problem for all these rookie bosses was consistency. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Arsenal at the moment, is that they're able to get a couple of good wins and get themselves into a position of fourth. And then one injury, one loss derails them. And then it's six games without a win, or 4 draws in 6 games, and they can't score a goal. And it was the same thing with Chelsea. It was the same thing with Man United. And now we're seeing a similar thing with Arsenal. It's the nature of rookie bosses. So the question goes, do you back them? Do you absolutely back that process and think that it will get better? They will find the consistency. They will stumble upon the consistency. Once upon a time, Ferguson's problem was consistency. And it took him 7 seasons at Man United, or what was it, from 86 till 92, to stumble upon some form of consistency. Do you back them, or do you understand that the nature of modern football and the modern Premier League is that you got to dump them when the going gets tough?
But I think you looking at, and everyone can jump in. I think it's again, we can't compare this Arsenal team to the '86 United team because football's moved on. I don't think investors have time to wait. Supporters don't have time to wait. No one wants to sit and chill.
But Dean,
so then there's the Spurs option, which is what Spurs have done, and we've said, Conte, you've got 18 months, do what you want, and take.
No. But it's not going to work, and that's not where Arsenal's going. The issue for me is that he doesn't trust his squad enough. And the problem is, but what was he doing in January? So, if he doesn't,
but again, he can only do so much when the guy's got no European football. He's struggling with 8. And look at it, and Arsenal fan, be realistic, Paul. If I came to you in August last year and I said, you will finish 6th, you would have taken it.
No, I would.
So you also have to manage your own expectations.
We have 4 in our sides with winnable games, and all of a sudden they're stumbling. They're stumbling, and I think it's a squad. It's Mikel not trusting the squad. So, for instance, Tavares is a learning issue, right? He got skinned by Crystal Palace. In the week, what did you do to help him build his confidence for you to put him back in against Brighton in order for him to be a better left back? It tells me that
he's a McCullum acquisition, right?
Yes, he is. He got bought this season. So is Nuno Tavares done? That's my one problem. Is Nicolas Pepe? Okay, I know Pepe is done at Arsenal, but the fact that you have that this guy has now shrunk his squad to 12 players effectively because Granit Xhaka is like the all-rounder. And that's my issue. I don't mind you losing these games, but at least use the squad that you have and don't do these stupid Pep-like things where Xhaka is going to be at left back, but when you're defending, when you're attacking, he's going to tuck inside. That makes no sense. I'd rather you lose. But there's a learning curve here for these young kids, and the learning curve.
This has been Moore's longest rant on cheap seats. In the year and a half we're doing this, or 2 years we're doing this show.
No, he's going
about time.
Guys, I want Champions League. Guys, I've been seeing, like, I watched Chelsea last night. I'm like, guys, we can't have let this thing go. But I'm gonna. Hey, stop.
He likes to watch this.
Probably when this shirt was still a thing. Cyrus, yes.
Look, so I always have a lot to say about everything, but here's what my take on this. Arsenal's biggest issues start in the boardroom and then trickle all the way down to the pitch. And the reality is that Arsenal could have and should have a far better squad than they have currently, but they don't have the financial resources in order to do that. I don't necessarily think that they don't have the money to, they just don't necessarily want to spend as much because they were burnt bad by Nicolas Pepe. And the problem with the Pepe deal is that they got into a bidding war with a club like Chelsea who were like, there was no need for Chelsea to back down and say, okay, fine, we're only going to pay X. They were like, okay, let's go toe-to-toe. And this is the thing, that Arsenal just couldn't compete. And the problem then is they overpaid for an asset that really hasn't helped at all. He's basically the Russell Westbrook of the Premier League, for those who have any NBA knowledge. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, man.
At least Russell Westbrook plays. I haven't seen
Exactly.
Nicolas Pepe since AFCON.
Exactly. So then this is the next point, which is the Arteta of it all. And Arteta really is a mini Pep. So you see it in the way he's tried to utilize players in different positions, trying to extract as much juice out of these guys as possible, because any coach goes on trust. If you don't trust the person who plays at that position, you put somebody else in there and say, look, maybe we have to do that. But Pep with perfect eyebrows, no trophies, and a full head of hair.
He's got one trophy. He's got
two,
one.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
it?
got the FA Cup.
One or two?
It's just FA Cup.
FA
Okay,
Cup.
one.
But the thing is, and now to roll all the way back to your initial point, Paul, around Arsenal's failings. I don't think that Arsenal's failings really are about the goal scoring. Arsenal's failings in recent weeks have been about the goal conceding. And that's been the major problem all season long. They found a combination at the back that worked. Injuries have derailed that, and they haven't been able to get anybody else to fill in within those spaces. So losing Tierney, yes, it's a big blow, but let's also be honest, it happens more often than it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to have a plan that is a plan B for when Kieran Tierney isn't.
That was Nuno Tavares.
So
Yeah.
this is the point where you then suddenly say, okay, I'm signing this guy. He's going to play there. No, wait, he's absolutely horrible. I'd rather play Granit Xhaka. That goes to the whole thing around what is it that Arteta is building, because we don't see building. What we see is some sort of sense of, okay, I think I've got a team. I'm going to see how these guys play, and they're going to carry on and carry on. And the point that you made, Paul, a lot earlier was no team is afraid of Arsenal right now. And
United
I can't
are.
see anyone. No, United are just suffering from serious self-confidence issues, right?
Yes.
It's a bit like one of those guys who's like, okay, I'm going to a nightclub. What's going to happen? I don't know. But then there's some guys who just waltz in there and be like, okay, drinks for everybody. We know what's up. The thing about Arsenal is, whether it be Lacazette, whether it be Martinelli, whether it be Nicola Pepe, for goodness sakes, there is nobody who you can say is a focal point of that team. And that is up and down the pitch. And what's hurt is the complete destruction of their own form of Emile Smith-Rowe, because he was vital to what was going well with Arsenal. And he's absolutely gone into a shell and has just not reappeared from it.
No, that's true, and I agree with you. Make all the points, and it all points to Arteta, as you say. But I don't understand how Tierney's replacement is no longer playing, and Granit Xhaka is Tierney's replacement. But
think about this. At Chelsea, there was this
That
talk of
Xhaka
how
at left
bad.
back thing really hurt him, Paul, guys.
It's incredible.
That really.
I love Xhaka at left back. He's the best left back in the league.
When Marcus Alonso was getting absolutely hammered for a few games, Chelsea tried everybody under the sun to play at left back, and ended up going back to Marcus Alonso at left back. He played at left back against Real Madrid, for goodness sake.
and he scored.
He did.
No, the weekend he scored against Southampton.
And he scored that disallowed goal last night. Absolute hammer shot. But the thing is, Arteta doesn't have that. He doesn't have that person who'll be like, okay, fine, all is forgiven, come back, Nuno Tavares. He's thinking, I might as well just put my boots on myself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough about Arsenal for cheap seats, because I don't want to go on for an hour. Last question, AB, Eric Ten Hag, we haven't heard your views on him. What are you thinking about this verbal agreement that's only going to be signed after the Dutch Cup final?
I mean, yeah, I get why, but everyone knows. So, like, sometimes boards are just finicky in that sense. You know, it is what it is, all this corporate nonsense. But Ten Hag's got a job on his hands, and you know, we've said this about Oli, we've said this about Jose, Van Gaal, every United manager, even Moyes. It's the same group of players, and he needs to come in and he needs to shake up that dressing room, and he needs to get some people out, and he needs to bring his own people in. And whether his own people are his Ajax people, who we have doubts on because it's, you know, the Dutch league, whether it's world-class stars like another Varane, whoever's out there, or whether it's Premier League professionals, the man needs to be allowed to make this team his own, which I think he'll struggle with the current footballing structure at United. I don't see him. I'm in a really bad place with United right now, but I don't see him being as successful as Twitter believes he will be. It's not as simple as bringing a new manager when the ship is sinking. You can have the greatest captain in the world. Like, you can have the best driver in like the history of Formula One with a crappy car. You're still not gonna beat that Ferrari. So
Yes,
yeah,
that is a
I
great
feel
analogy.
yeah, I know. I feel for Ten Hag. He's got a really big job. He's not as young as everyone on Twitter believes he is. He's like pushing 60, the guy. But yeah, good luck to him. I hope he
Is he
succeeds.
really?
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
57.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
57. Jeez, he
Yeah,
looks
guys.
38.
Guys, he's
52.
52.
Okay,
52.
guys,
No,
sorry.
Still,
52.
he looks
Yo.
38.
52. But they said that he's just older than Poch, if I remember correctly.
He's older than Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
But Sean Dyche looks like he's
not a
hitting
young
60.
manager.
Yeah, no, he's not a young
Okay.
manager. But I mean, like the foot. Like if
But maybe
if Ten Hag and
doesn't
Van der
that
Sar
then
would come
say?
in, that would be a different thing.
But doesn't that say that he's got some experience? Yes, it is in the Dutch league, but at 50 odd, he's seen the game, So I mean, wouldn't that sort of give you some sense of saying, fine, we're not hiring AVB because goodness, that was a bad move.
Fair. I mean, he's got experience at coaching. As a coach, I can't fault him. He's done what he needed to get a better job, but he's not like, he's in a great football club right now. Ajax is run brilliantly given their constraints. They're run by people who know the club, who understand football. First of all, United is a business. They will continue remaining a business first and foremost. And
let me get Wahid in here a little bit. Wahid, outside of Donny coming back into your midfield,
oh, that guy, like a new
what
signing
do you
FC
make?
right now.
Because I know you gave us your points last week, but obviously the news has progressed a little bit more. Has your thoughts on Ten Hag changed?
No, my thoughts on Ten Hag haven't changed. He wasn't my preference for the manager role, and I think I've said that before, and I think it's well documented that I would have preferred Maurizio Pochettino. Having said that, I'm not as pessimistic as AB is, because I feel like over the course of the season the club have modernized the footballing structure. Whether these people who have been put into specific footballing roles are the correct appointments, we'll only see as the season as we progress into the future. But John Murtough has been appointed the director of football. Darren Fletcher is a technical director. People in the game, I know Twitter doesn't like him, but the people in the game speak very highly of Darren Fletcher. And Darren Fletcher seems to have this hybrid role where he's a suit but also a tracksuit, and whatever it is. United are trying to modernize the structure, and apparently, according to people at The Athletic, Erik ten Hag has said that he wants Ralph Rangnick to be quite involved in his footballing structure, and maybe more so than just a consultant. So I don't think that the footballing structure is as archaic as it was 2 seasons ago. I don't think that this is a case of Joel Glazer thinking that Anthony Martial is the new Pele. I think that we have put structures in place, and I hope my hope and my optimistic out view is that it will be it will modernize itself, and with that a new modern coach, because United previously have appointed, if we take Ole out of the equation, we've appointed coaches at the wrong end of their coaching at the wrong end of their coaching career. Van Gaal and Mourinho were appointed when they were towards the end of their career, and what we've got here is we've got a manager who's young and hungry and looking for United to be the next logical step in his career. He's done the hard yards, and this is the next logical step for him. It's a step upwards, and not a person who's gone through the European merry-go-round of managers and is now hopping onto the next big contract he finds. So I'm not as pessimistic, but I am realistic. And I know that we have the constraints of the owners who are leeches. I do understand that the ownership structure is very bad. So I don't think it's going to be hunky dory. I don't think that it's going to be plain sailing. I don't think we're going to be champions the next year. But I do think that we'll put processes in place to probably try and be champions within 3 or 4 seasons.
Okay. Dean, why not Poch? Why you spoke about it? Why not Poch?
Wait, Cyrus had something on my point, I think.
Yeah. All I wanted to say is, as long as Ten Hag is not the Dutch David Moyes, you should be in a far better space. And I think if there's one thing that you could almost look at, as long as he doesn't try to bring every single youngster from Ajax across with him.
Except for Ryan Gravenberch, you need him.
Look, Gravenberch is great, but I think in the engine room, you really need to be able to dictate what's happening in a game. Gravenberch would be fantastic. I think it's more likely that the likes of Shaw goes and Tagliafico might come through. You remember how we were raving about him over the years, and that would be okay. But I think that the thing about Ten Hag is that he is a good football mind. He understands the game. He should be able to work with the guys. It's the interpersonal stuff at United that seems to be the problem. How the players interact with the coach, how they understand his ideas, how they adopt and adapt to those things. Because when I look at what's happening with United right now, it's almost been a sort of set as you were. As soon as Ranier came on, he tried to change some things in the formation, bring people into certain spaces, and it didn't work. And so, as all of you have rightly said, they need a bit of a shake-up. And I think that will come from Ranier perhaps going back, taking the heat off somebody like Ten Hag and saying, okay, before this manager comes in, we've got to get rid of this guy, we've got to get rid of that guy, and let's make that happen. If that is one of the things that he does as a bit of a shield, then I think that there's a lot to be said about where United could go if they take all of the pressure off Ten Hag and just say, make sure we're playing good football. That will be the best way forward.
Yeah, well, there's a Smith-Boucher conversation happening in the private chat that I'm not going to enter because regardless of how well Mark Boucher is doing, the guy needs to go. Dean, you wanted Pochettino to go to, well, you thought Manchester United should get Pochettino. Why did you say that?
So I think, and Wahid has very well documented that, and I think we can all agree, United are not in need of just a new coach. They are in need of an entire culture reset. They need overhaul from a squad that, as we've spoken about, should be performing better than what they are. They've got players all over the place who should be way ahead in their own careers, but should be performing on a weekly basis. And if you look at what Poch did at Spurs, he walked into a very similar situation. The players at Spurs, they weren't really believing in themselves. There was a lot of fear around the supporters, around the stadium, around the owners. And Poch's philosophy to promote young players, to get everyone working together, he brings like a one-stop shop, so him and all his assistants will come with him. It kind of forms that good base of which I felt United could definitely benefit off, bringing in the belief in the young guys, bringing in a coach who has done it before in the Premier League. So if I was looking at that, I kind of go, I got a guy that's tried and tested, worked in a pretty crappy situation, managed to turn it around. Fine, Spurs didn't win anything under Poch, but the way he took the club from where they were to what we were eventually when he left, despite the bit of the end kind of rumblings, is exactly what I think United would have needed and what they would have pushed for. To me, it's very surprising they went to Ten Hag. As a Spurs fan, I love that they didn't. I've said that and I'll always say it. Just like I love that they beat us because we got Conte and they got Rangnick. But at the end of the day, there's a football project in mind. Clearly, I can't judge Ten Hag. I mean, I looked at his coaching career and he coached that big team in Netherlands called Go Ahead Eagles.
Go Ahead Eagles. In June. They're not Go Behind Eagles. So,
exactly. So you kind of have to give. I can only talk about Poch and what I've seen. I can't talk about Ten Hag. So maybe he can do the business. But from what I've seen and what I would have wanted, Poch would have been the
AB, quick and final word.
Yeah, no, I think maybe the board considered this. Maybe Ragnick considered that Poch has done that job, but maybe he was only limited to doing that job, and maybe they had a longer term view with looking at building a club, and trying to do like having like an Ajax B2. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the board there.
Well, we'll find out if Manchester United become a Farmers League team or if they become a Champions League quarterfinal team, whatever that may be. But this was your realistic expectations episode, as well as some of the other things that we speak about every week. So please do follow Classic Shirts ZA on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll be back later this week with an FPL show. So for myself and the rest of the team, goodbye and lesale. Kakahiso.